Coco Gauff's the only player that most American sports fans have heard of.
Yeah, this Tiafo, Felipe, you know who he is. 99.9% of sports fans don't.
And 99% of sports fans that heard the name would go, he's American?
Yeah.
It helps a lot that Wimbledon always falls around 4th of July. I feel like a lot of TVs have Wimbledon on.
Yeah, the problem is there's no Americans on the TVs.
They used to. And I mean, their numbers are down too. Tennis numbers are horrible on television. Horrible.
I mean, NBC and CBS bailed on tennis. This is the ESPN of the tennis channel. It's all yours. Knock yourself out. I mean, what do they show? Like, does NBC show like 4 days of the French? Like Saturday, Sunday, the 2 Saturdays and 2 Sundays coverage of the French? And I don't even know if they do that anymore.
It's a shame. I think.
And remember, Felipe, the American networks bailed on tennis during Nadal, Federer, Djokovic, and Serena Williams. And they said, nah, not interested.
But when? Like, how long ago did they bail?
Well, no, it is all in the last 10 years. I mean, in the 2000s, the French and Wimbledon and U.S. Open, they were all on
network television.
In the 2010s is when the networks bailed on tennis.
Ammo, thank you. Thanks for all your work on the stuff with the race, but right now it looks like we're not going to have it sold. So everything in our world goes along with being able to sell things to be at events. So I appreciate you getting all that stuff to me. That was very nice of you.
Imagine that. Imagine that. Not sold.
Have to have a salesperson.
Yeah, one would be a good start. One would be a good start. But whatever. Thank you, Emma. You as well. I don't know about show, but morning.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I remember when the Davis Cup was so big that on an NFL Sunday and a college football Saturday, CBS would keep throwing it back to Musburger in the studio, and he would update us. The U.S. was playing, I think, Argentina in Cincinnati. And they kept going back to Musburger to update us on how the matches were going. Yeah, Ammo. I mean, I got us credentials for everything. I mean, we're all set up, and we're not going to be there.
How far are you from there?
90 miles straight south. Actually, yeah, 85 maybe.
Penguins Panthers last night was a riot to watch.
Oh my goodness. Brett Maher missed the extra point.
30 seconds. 10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this final Wednesday of January. Just like that, the month is flying along. Hope your week is off to a good start as we get over the hump together. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well, David. I get the sense these days that how the heck are you is becoming out of obligation. Like you are sick of how the heck are you. And you know that I love how the heck are you.
Well, you do love it more than me. All right, you do, which is shocking.
It's just that, and I don't mean it in a bad way. It's that punch to the face that says, get up, damn it, let's go.
I'm always worried about, being too loud, all right, over-modulating, that sort of deal. So, but no, I just, I'm fine with it. I just, there are some mornings there's a little more gusto than others. I actually feel pretty good this morning,
No, nothing about your delivery. It's more of your facial expression when I'm watching you. I'm going, he doesn't seem
okay.
There used to be an oomph to it. And now it seems sometimes to lack oomph.
Yeah, well, I'm in my upper 50s, Mark. There's that pertains to a few other things in my life as well. Thanks for bringing it up. One of my favorite things happened last night, though.
Yes,
One
it
of
did.
my favorite things. All right. Baseball Hall of Fame. Who's in? Who's out? Should anybody have been in? A lot of people having problems with Scott Rowland being put into the Hall of Fame. They don't think of him as a Hall of Famer. They think this is a Hall of Very Good. Scott Rowland, by the way, never would have gotten in if not for analytics. Scott Rowland, 5 years ago, technically it was 6 ballots ago, but 5 years ago, Scott Rowland was on the Hall of Fame ballot for the first time. Guess how much percentage of the vote he got in 2018?
42.
How about 10?
Holy cow.
Exactly. 10% of the vote. 5 years later, he gets over 75% to be into the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Now, part of that is, there were guys backloaded on the ballot and this, that, and the other thing. But remember, you can vote for 10 guys. So, in theory, and, we had David Sampson on just yesterday. And what did he say maybe his biggest pet peeve in the world is?
How a guy can't be a Hall of Famer on year 4 and becomes one in year 6. What has happened in those 2 years that makes that player a Hall of Famer?
So, there hasn't been a massive turnover in who it is that gets the vote in the last 5 years. There's been some, but not massive. So Scott Rowland went from 10% in 2018 to 76% in 2023. And you can thank war.
What is it good for? As Seth Everett once said, absolutely nothing. Say it again.
War. It's good for getting you into the Hall of Fame if you're a borderline candidate. A couple of things worked in Scott Rowland's favor. First off, somebody did the research, and apparently third base is the least represented position in the Hall. If you don't count closer, DH, that sort of deal. Okay, but apparently until last night, 17 third basemen, I think, are in the Hall of Fame. For whatever reason, that's the position least represented. And so then Scott Rowland's numbers started getting compared to other third basemen who are in the Hall. And Mark, his WAR during his 17-year career was 70. So that's over 4 wins a year that he was good for that an average player would not be worth. You get 4 wins a year above replacement, you're considered a really good player. A really good player. You do that over 17 years. according to the metrics, that makes you a Hall of Famer. Very few players, Mark, have a WAR of 70 or more, not in the Hall of Fame. I will mention one of them, though, which will tug right at your heartstrings, and you don't have a lot of heartstrings when it comes to sports anymore. Lou Whitaker's WAR is 75.
Tough for, as someone who grew up a Tiger fan to see Trammell in and Whitaker not, but I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. I never thought I thought he was really, really good. I never thought he was a Hall of, I didn't.
Are you talking about Rowland or Whitaker?
Whitaker.
Okay, well, and first off, did you think Trammell was the better player of the two?
Yes.
Yeah, I did too, for what it was worth. And Trammell got in, and then I think deservedly so. But yes, is Lou Whitaker, is Scott Rowland, Keith Hernandez, Whitaker and Hernandez are out. Rowland is now in. The other thing that Scott Rowland did, Mark, is stuff that nowadays nobody gives a damn about. Scott Rowland was an excellent defensive third baseman. Actually, he was a great defensive third baseman. And he was a great base runner. I mean, Scott Rowland was just a damn good player for almost 2 decades. Now, he had some injuries and what have you. Also helped him, he was a big deal on the 06 Cardinals, who came out of nowhere and won the World Series. Had a big playoff that year also, playing through injury. So he's got his ring, and he's got the numbers, and the WAR, the analytics. They loved him. And the voters are becoming much more analytically driven.
And I wonder sometimes if that's just to keep on keeping on. I mean, how do these, seriously, how do they go from 10% to 70% because all of a sudden analytics became the way we vote on players?
Well, just
and
saying.
They've all looked at it and said, well, I've got to get in tune with the rest of the voters. I got to get in tune with baseball. I've not thought much about analytics before, but now I do.
Well, come on, Mark. There's a lot of groupthink in the world out there. How many people are independent thinkers? I mean, be honest. You may think you're an independent thinker, and I'm not talking about you, Mark. I'm talking to everybody right now. You may think you're an independent thinker. Trust me, the overwhelming majority of you listening right now, you're sheep. You are. You go along with groupthink. Whether it's your politics, whether it's your sports, you do it. How many of you are independent thinkers? How many of you sitting at a table of 6 are willing to be the one on the other side of something? All right. Now, it's part of why Miller and Moulton have always gotten along.
And always gotten fired.
Correct. Because we're the one. And it's hurt us. Personally and professionally, it has hurt us. And goodness knows we can be wrong.
And have been.
And when you're the one and you're wrong, yikes.
That stings. Leaves a mark, they say.
So what ends up happening, Mark, is quite frankly, somebody that the masses respect does some research and writes a story. And they all read each other. I mean, it's like politics. And politicians. Why do you think they've lost touch with the country? Well, they don't spend any time in the country. Okay, they're all in the Beltway. They're all talking to the same people, listening to the same stuff. Well, it's the same thing with the baseball media and football media, etc. But there are people within that group who are regarded as the smartest of the bunch. Hey, I really respect him. So all of a sudden, a Tim Kirchin or a Ken Rosenthal or somebody like that does some research and puts out a story, and eventually they all send it to each other, and they go, hey, did you read this? I never realized this about Rowland. And here we go. Game on.
Do you think he's a Hall of Famer? I mean, baseball is far closer to your heart than it is to mine these days, and I still love the game, but the Hall of Fames don't.
I will say this. When he played, I didn't think he was a Hall of Famer. When he played, I thought he walked right up to the door and paid admission. I did. I thought he was an excellent all-around player. I thought that he had a lot of injuries, and put it this way, Mark. If Scott Rowland's in the Hall of Fame, Keith Hernandez should be in the Hall of Fame. If Scott Rowland's in the Hall of Fame, Lou Whitaker should be in the Hall of Fame. All right? And you know what? I mean, I think Hernandez is a Hall of Famer. Okay? If Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer. Because Hernandez was a better defensive first baseman than Rowland was a third baseman. And Keith Hernandez won an MVP, and Keith Hernandez was the number 3 hole hitter on 2 World Series teams. And yet, Mark, I thought Keith Hernandez walked right up to the door and paid admission. I thought his career that he finished with like 2,700 hits. His body kind of fell apart on him. I thought he needed those final 2 years.
And that's what we've replaced the 2,700 hits with, is the WAR. I mean, that's
Correct.
really the replacement that's happened over the course of a generation, where we looked at career numbers and made judgments. Now they're making judgments based on the analytics. And that's really the change in the voting. But it is interesting when you talk about Hernandez and Whitaker. Will the Veterans Committees now advance their case even more in the coming years? And I think, what is it, every 3 years they get a shot to put people on the Veterans Committee.
And Hernandez hasn't even made the cut to be voted on yet by that committee. I think Whitaker finally made the cut and got minimal support. So Scott Rowland got into the Hall of Fame by, I believe, 5 votes. 5 votes go the other way. He would have fell short. Todd Helton got to 72%. You need 75%, by the way, for the Baseball Hall of Fame. Billy Wagner got to 68%. History tells us Helton and Wagner will get in. That once you get that close, eventually the few people holding you out go, all right, whatever.
Only 5 players got over 50% of the vote?
Correct. Andrew Jones, 58. Sheffield, 55. I will say, of all these players, if you're going to dive in and do all the numbers, Andrew Jones's numbers are staggering. I think they're actually the best of the bunch. You took Andrew Jones the first 12 years of his career and Mike Trout and put them side by side, you'd be stunned how good Andrew Jones's numbers were.
Miller and Moulton. A little Baseball Hall of Fame talk. Thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686, or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Dandy, can you set up a criteria with baseball? And by the way, wouldn't that criteria be even more analytical? Wouldn't it just be numbers? Shimko, there are those that think Andrew Jones was the greatest defensive center fielder of all time. Like, better than Mays. And he hit like 440 home runs.
Did he really?
Yeah. Remember, he came up at 19. He hit those 2 homers in game 1 or 2 of the World Series in 96 when he was 19.
No, I knew that. I just didn't realize he hit that many for a career.
And the funny thing is he fell off the face of the earth. He first 12 years of his career and then poof. Yeah, I don't think Scott Rowland was the greatest defensive third baseman of all time. I don't think he was the greatest Phillies defensive third baseman of all time. That's a funny thing. They ran him out of Philly. Phillies fans were like, "You're not good enough. Get the hell out of here." I think he was 19. Maybe he was 20, but I thought he was 19 when he did it. Want to do the tennis thing here?
Sure. Anyone for tennis? Wouldn't that be nice? So I get a text yesterday. I'm playing golf.
Okay.
I get a text from one of the soccer kids' moms, my neighbor. No. And she's like, "Are you going to practice tonight?" And I went, "There's practice tonight?" And she said, "Yeah, he said something towards the end of practice. I'm not sure if everyone heard." I'm like, "Okay, it's now, it's 4:45. I've got 3 holes to play. I'm scrambling."
Sure.
But, "Oh, yeah, we got there. Don't worry." Now you're ready for the tournament this weekend. Only good news about the tournament, the final game is, if we make it all the way to the finals, it's Sunday at 1, which means I'm done by 2:10. I'm back home by kickoff. That's really all that matters.
Darn right.
Looked right at the coach last night. Said, "Well, at least they had some sense, because if this game was starting after 3:00, I wasn't going to be there."
Got 3 games left, buddy. I'm watching every second of them.
We got a tournament. Yeah, I know.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't get me started.
Got 3 left, okay? How'd you hit him?
Terribly.
Oh, the last round you played, dude.
2 in a row are bad. That's too much golf. I really don't. I'm playing today, and I don't even want to. Too much. That's 5 rounds. And
so, in other words, you're ready for the Champions Tour. You're ready for 36, 54 holes type.
36.
You would love a 54-hole tournament cut short one day by rain, wouldn't you?
Well, it's funny because we've got the member guests coming up in March, which I'll be taking my traditional 2 days off for.
Oh, what days are those?
It is March 9 and 10.
Gotcha.
"15 seconds." Here you go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. All right. This is a very dangerous road to go down because that sound that you hear could be nothing but people clicking their radios off. Okay. Or, opting out of the app or, however it is that you take in the show.
However it is you turn us off.
Right. Exactly. You know how you do it.
We're not really sure how you do it, but we're aware that it happens from time to time.
We're shocked you turn us on, so we really don't care how it is you turn us off.
We'd prefer you don't.
Right. So something happened in the last 12 or so hours, which had not happened, Mark, since the very first days of the Obama administration. An American man advanced to the semis of the Australian Open. Now, I believe the 2009 Australian Open began with George W. Bush as president. But I believe by the time Andy Roddick advanced to the semifinals back in 2009, that Barack Obama had been inaugurated. Because a 25-year-old American from Jersey, Tommy Paul, is through to the semifinals.
The YouTube fighter?
Right. And the funny thing is, I have no idea of who you speak. So I'm just going along with it.
I know it's Jake Paul, Philly. I'm aware of the different name. I was having a little fun with. He is over there in complete disgust with me right now.
The fact that you'd even bring them up in the first place.
Hey, you know what? More people know who that is than Timmy Paul or whoever we're talking about here
Which is
from Jersey.
Which is
Tommy
Gunn. I mean, Tommy
Right.
Paul.
Tommy used to work on the docks. Okay.
Right.
Think of it. Bon Jovi, Jersey, Tommy Paul. Okay. But we mentioned this, just a quick sidebar. Throw it out there. If an American becomes good at tennis again, male or female, do you think America will care? Like, we've got a couple of young women who are good. I mean, Jessica Pegula is in her late 20s. We got a couple of others who have won majors who are out there, the Sloane Stephens of the world. They're still competing. But, for instance, Coco Gauff is what? Is she 20 yet, or is she still a teen?
She's 18.
Yeah, okay. So let's just say 18-year-old Coco Gauff becomes a BFD. And I'm not going to go 25-year-old Tommy Paul. I'm going to go 20-year-old Ben Shelton, who Tommy beat in the quarterfinals. The kid last year won the NCAA championship for the Gators. He's a big serving lefty. So, Mark, remember, John McEnroe, big serving lefty, won the NCAA championship for Stanford, turned pro, and obviously became a legend. What if Ben Shelton becomes a BFD and Coco Gauff takes that next step? She's one step away from being an elite player. She takes the step. Ben Shelton takes the step.
I don't know, David, but my heart tells me that it wouldn't move the needle that much, if at all.
So you think tennis in America is Not dead, but
It's on
basically
life support.
witness protection program, basically.
Very much so. That's a better analogy. Because I think that for the most part, Tommy Paul here, and who's the other, the Ben Shelton?
Yes.
Tommy and Ben.
Nice, by the way. You got them both right.
Thank you. I think Tommy and Ben, between now and the end of this decade, could walk into any restaurant in America and no one's going to recognize them.
Even if they become a big deal, though. And by big deal, I'll say Andy Roddick. Okay, Andy Roddick went to 5 Grand Slam finals, only won 1. Got beat by Federer 4 times in the final. I mean, Andy Roddick was very close to being, an all-time great. He really was. He just unfortunately had to go through
Right, he was
Federer,
born in the wrong
Nadal.
year.
Right. Okay.
Born in the wrong era, and born in the greatest era of tennis that we will ever witness.
I was going to say, if he was born, a few years either, or earlier, maybe he's got 5, 6 Grand Slam titles. And we're talking, McEnroe had 7, Connors 8, to give you an idea of how close Roddick could have been.
David, tennis has become boxing.
Oh, boy. Okay.
The networks have bailed on it. The networks have all bailed on the sport. And they did so, as we talked about before the show a little bit, they did so at the height of the sport.
Yes. I mean, when Serena Williams was becoming who I believe is the all-time greatest player ever, and as Federer and Nadal and Djokovic even, because tennis was still on network television in the 2000s. But CBS bailed on the U.S. Open early last decade, and NBC bailed on tennis mid to late last decade.
21,000 is the text line. How close are you to bailing on us right now for talking about this?
Well, but your analogy, though, because also the hypothetical, which I guess we don't know, what if we got a great American heavyweight again? Would that bring people to the people who've left boxing for UFC? Would you come back to boxing to watch the next generation Tyson, Holyfield, whoever that boxer may be for you?
Felipe, have you ever watched a live boxing match? You're a tennis fan, so I don't want to go tennis. But have you ever, on TV, pay-per-view, have you ever watched a fight that's not a UFC fight?
On TV, yes, not in person.
Okay, no, that's plenty. That's boxing won right there.
Yeah.
I can't let you say anything else because boxing's really happy. We're going to send this to the boxing folks, and they're going to use that clip because someone under the age of 30 has actually watched a fight before.
Oh.
That's a big deal.
Heavyweight fights are awesome.
It's great that you're even aware of them. Honestly, I'm not. I'm like you, Mark. I'm not being patronizing here at all. If I'm boxing, I'm like, oh wow, we got a 22-year-old in Southwest Florida who's actually still paying attention to our sport. That's fantastic.
But 21,000. Where do you think tennis is today? Witness protection program? Do you think it can be taken out of it and become a relevant sport in this country again? Because the networks don't.
I mean, what if 18-year-old Coco Gauff? What if 20-year-old Ben Shelton? And the same thing with boxing. If all of a sudden a young American looks like, wow, this is a great fighter, a heavyweight, would you come back? Young, middle-aged, or old here.
Yeah, this is everyone.
Well, let's face it, just about everybody's bailed on boxing. I mean, just about everybody.
Including the two of us who love the sport.
Yes, who have gone to fights in person. Yes. This century. So, yes. But that's just something that I'm wondering there. When I saw what happened in the storyline and, an American through to the semis for the first time since Roddick, 14 years ago, by the way. Andy Roddick did this at the Australian. And, Johnny Mack in our Twitch chat room goes, I wouldn't even recognize Andy Roddick. And he married a model. Not only was he a Hall of Fame player, he married Brooklyn Decker.
It's his best Grand Slam win right there.
I was going to say, greatest achievement, 03 U.S. Open or who he married.
It's really close.
I'm leaning towards marriage personally, but okay. So that's all. Just wondering. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Angie was there. Got a couple of texts here.
Okay.
Before we get to the 5, I don't know how long. I doubt you have a long one today, do you?
Yeah.
Well, there's a billion hockey and basketball scores, but
Yeah, I don't give all of them. The 8 o'clock hour, Johnny?
the third hour, nothing. The fourth hour, it's not here very often.
Yeah, we did the event that we put together at the cigar bar in Estero. at the mall there was Bird Sugar and Angelo Dundee on a Friday.
My boy Angie.
Angelo had a book, and Bert wrote the foreword.
My View from the Corner is the name of the book. I have it at home. He signed one for my dad.
That was the best event we ever put together. We did it first class. Okay. We got a limo for Angelo, drove him down. Because I forget if he was in Sarasota visiting somebody.
Sarasota.
Because
that was home in the wintertime or whatever.
We drove him down. It was early December because it was Army-Navy weekend because I had to leave right after the show and get to Philly and left my credit card at the bar. By the time I got my credit card back when I came home, when I got the bill, bought about $350 worth of drinks. Yeah, they were both in great moods. It was a huge gathering. Angelo sold a ton of books. He was happy. Bert was thrilled, holding court.
I love it when that picture pops up. That's the only reason I think I'm still on Facebook, because once a year my picture pops up with me and Bert.
God, that was a good time. I was so bummed having to go to the airport.
Right.
I look back at the two of you like I am going to miss one of the great nights of my life. Fortunately, my credit card was there. Mm-hmm.
15 seconds. There we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll head to Kansas City, the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Soren Petro, talk a little AFC Championship game. Mahomes and the Chiefs hosting it for the 5th year in a row. How about that? That's pretty damn impressive. And 2 hours from now, our buddy Seth Everett will join us. And, you know, we have no idea what we'll talk with Seth about, but it'll be a lot of things. It'll be entertaining. And at some point, we'll laugh and we'll yell. That's usually how it goes.
Text line's been active this morning, David. It's 21,000 if you've never texted the show before. And if you have not, you need to text the keyword FSN Radio. Do that one time. You are in. A couple of texts we received. One on the Hall of Fame. One I think it's Scott Rowland. I think more of Ron Say than Mike Schmidt. Maybe somewhere in between. I guess with today's standards, he's a Hall of Famer. Then a couple on the tennis. One person who's never texted the show before said, I didn't realize they still played tennis until now. The other said pickleball will eventually be more popular in the U.S. than tennis. Eventually? Pickleball is already more popular than tennis in the U.S., and it's not close. ESPN just signed a deal to cover pickleball for the love of everything holy.
Yes, they did. Had a few buddies in the industry text me and go, hey, they may need help with stats and research.
I'm in. You know, I'll sign me up. Get my name to somebody important.
I'd be more than happy to.
I can pickle and I can ball. Whatever you need.
By the way, that is true what Mark said. Okay. ESPN just signed a deal to televise pickleball.
Most of it will be on, in fact, all of it will be on ESPN Plus. They're not going to put it on the network, but they are going to stream it. I have a guy that I play golf with who is so into pickleball that he watches YouTube pickleball videos.
Really?
Yes.
Did you ask him why?
I tried to change the subject when he said he did that.
Do you remember the first time we had Warner Wolf on? Warner Wolf, legendary sportscaster in New York and D.C., and he lives in Southwest Florida now. And the first time we had him on was like 3 years ago, and he goes off on a tangent, which he goes, "Guys, by the way, do you play pickleball?" And we're looking at each other. He's like, "It's amazing." So now every time I think of pickleball, I think of Warner Wolf, and I'm thinking, ESPN should hire Warner to do the pickleball.
Be perfect. Be speaking right to his own audience.
Right. He plays it. He knows it. Brings enthusiasm.
But I'm telling you, we have moved our soccer practice, which I've detailed that I've become a travel parent in episodes past.
Right.
But near where we practice, there are like 8 pickleball courts. And the one thing that I am baffled by is the age range of pickleball players, from kids to senior citizens and every single age in between. It's already more popular than tennis. What are they doing with tennis courts? No, I'm sorry, what are they doing with tennis courts? They're turning them into pickleball courts.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Can you play pickleball on a regulation tennis court?
No, you can divide. I think a tennis court is maybe 2 pickleball courts thereabouts, but they can.
So can you could the players move up to the service line, if you know what I mean, and so that behind you, which is still half the court, is out? Could you
probably they'd have to reline it? I'm sure they could do something, but they are, where I live, we've got 1 pickleball court and I think 3 or 4 tennis courts. No one ever plays tennis. Nobody. Pickleball courts are jammed all day long. And they did it where the basketball hoop was, so the kids can't even hoop anymore. Because you know what? Their grandparents are out there playing pickleball saying, "Sonny, get off the court or I'll kill you."
I got a 5 o'clock there, Johnny. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Scott Rowland voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame with 76% of the vote. You need 75% to get in. Todd Helton came up just short with 72%. Billy Wagner, 68%. Andrew Jones and Gary Sheffield, the other 2 that were above 50%. But considering the fact that Scott Rowland got just 10% of the vote 5 years ago and is now in the Hall of Fame, I'll just throw out these other vote totals. Carlos Beltran and Jeff Kent both got 47%. I'll say this, Mark. If Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer, Jeff Kent's a Hall of Famer. Because Kent was a better hitter than Rowland. Now, Rowland was a great defender, and Kent worked his way to being average. Okay, but Jeff Kent's numbers as a second baseman are top 3 all time. So that's another thing. If you're going to put Scott Rowland in, okay. But then to me, Lou Whitaker, Keith Hernandez, Jeff Kent, could make the case now for Mattingly. A bunch of guys that I think you and I think are in the hall of really, really good.
Hang on, I'm checking to see what Jeff Kent's WAR is, because that's all that really matters, David.
That's true. Rowland's
55.4.
Not
that's a pretty good WAR, right?
It is not Hall of Fame WAR, though.
No?
Although I'm sure we can find people in the Hall of Fame with less of a WAR. That's wins above replacement, by the way, for those that don't know. A-Rod, 36%, and Manny, 33%. So obviously those 2 are never going to get voted in because they're not gaining steam. NFL news. First of all, the league made a couple of announcements concerning the Super Bowl. Carl Sheffers will be the lead referee. It's his second assignment in 3 years and his third in the last 7. Eagles fans, just so you know, he was the referee of the Super Bowl that you guys beat the Patriots in. I thought you guys may find that interesting. Also, the NFL announced, remember, we got Rihanna at halftime. Chris Stapleton's going to do the anthem. Babyface is going to do America the Beautiful. So I got to say, the NFL, this is, Jay-Z here, Rock Nation that's booking this. He's picking up the phone going, "Hey, I need you, second Sunday in February." And they're all going, "Oh, okay." Raj makes these calls. Jay-Z makes the call. Yeah, okay. What time you need me? Bill O'Brien, this happened during our show yesterday, back with the Patriots as offense coordinator. 49ers defensive lineman Charles Omenihu arrested, suspicion of domestic violence. He's part of their defensive line rotation. You may remember against the Seahawks, he had 2+ sacks. He only played about 15 snaps against the Cowboys, but, I mean, he is part of their defense. Will be interesting to see how the Niners handle this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he plays as they let the legal process run its course. Aaron Rodgers said yesterday on the Pat McAfee show he's open to reworking his deal if he comes back and plays. Obviously, he doesn't have to rework it if he retires. He's scheduled to make a little under $60 million next year, but that's complicated. You know, you got bonuses and this, that, and the other thing. Here's the weird thing: his cap hits under $32 million. Here's the deal, though. Right now, if they didn't rework his contract and they traded him, the dead cap hit that the Packers would take on would be just under $100 million. So, needless to say, if you hear that Rodgers and the Packers are reworking the contract, he's coming back to play. And also, he's coming back to play to be traded, because there's no reason to rework it if he's staying. Just keep that in mind. College football, Josh Heupel. Mark, I mean, we all knew his job was in jeopardy at Tennessee, right? I mean, he needed a new contract. And he was only making around $5 to $6 million. And that's just not going to cut it, Mark. So now he got an extension through the rest of the decade, through 2029, and he's making $9 million a year. By the way, Mark, in the SEC, the $9 million, where does you think that puts him? 14 teams in the conference, $9 million a year. Where does that get him?
Well, first off, it can't get him any better than third, right? I mean, and then Jimbo. So I would say that gets him, I'm going to guess here, and I'm going to say fourth.
Tied for fifth.
Okay. I missed somebody.
There you go. Tied for fifth. So just, you know, it just means more. College hoops last night. I'll tell you what. This is such an omission on our part. We mentioned that Miami and Florida State were playing. We did not take note of the line. Somehow, some way, Miami was only like a 4-point favorite in Tallahassee against the Noles. That was the play of the night. I know Florida State's been playing better, but you got to be kidding me. Miami's a legit top 20 team. Yeah, Miami beat Florida State and Tallahassee by 23 last night. Another night in the Big 12, another great game. 5th-ranked K-State lost at 12th-ranked Iowa State by 4, 80-76. Georgetown snapped their 29-game conference losing streak. They beat DePaul at home 81-76. Carolina over Syracuse in the Dome 72-68. And Kentucky slowly beginning to look like a men's college basketball program again. Went on the road in the SEC, beat Vandy by 16. Women's college basketball, worth noting, yesterday, Florida State moved into the top 25 in the AP poll. South Florida now moving into the top 25 in the coaches poll at number 25. NBA, Felipe's Heat. We're down 8 at the half, down 7 after 3. No Jimmy Butler, doesn't matter. Bam with 30.
Defense.
Yeah, and the Heat held the Celtics to just 13 in the fourth quarter, beat them 98-95.
Well, Florida trip for the C's.
Yeah, they got swept.
Well, them losing to the Magic is inevitable, so.
Right. Right, they're 0-3 against the Magic this year.
Right, death taxes and the Magic beating the Celtics.
Correct.
Right, that's the guarantees.
Did anybody catch the tweet that the Heat sent out after the win? You remember the Cowboys tweet about Dak? Okay, yeah. Well, the Heat did it word for word. They just replaced a couple. Celtics gave away the ball 17 times in a narrow loss to the Heat. In a matchup, the Celtics had a chance to win if they didn't again generate self-inflicted wounds.
outstanding. I think every team should be copying and pasting Dallas Cowboy tweets from now until at least the middle of February.
So needless to say, I'm sure the Cowboys players are thrilled with Dallas Cowboys Twitter and DallasCowboys.com. Nick snapped the 4-game skid. They beat Cleveland 105-103. Jokic with another triple-double, 26, 11, and 10. Nuggets nearly blew a 16-point halftime lead, but beat New Orleans by 1. Luka scored 41, yet they lost at home to Washington, 127-126. And LeBron scored 46, and yet the Lakers got blown out at home by the Clippers, losing by 18. I will say he's 38 years old. He scored 46 points.
Right now, he's scored 40 against every team in the league, by the way.
That was a storyline before the game. People were talking about the Clippers was the only team that he didn't score 40 against. I'm sure he heard that. Was like,
Lightning doubled up the Wild 4-2. Corey Perry with 2 goals. Stammer with the game winner late third. Penguins and Panthers 7-6. Brett Maher missed the extra point in overtime, so the Penguins win it.
Fun game. Sorry, tough loss for the Panthers, but a fun game to watch.
Bruins won again, 4-2 over the Canadians. They're never going to lose again, ladies and gentlemen.
It was the Canadians.
I understand. And Seth will be happy because Jersey beat Vegas 3-2 in overtime. Dougie Hamilton tied it with a minute to go and then won it in overtime. And finally, the Australian Open. Djokovic rolled into the semis. He beat the 5th-ranked player in the world 1, 2, and 4. Yeah, about an hour and a half.
Apparently, need a disclaimer, Australian Open, that's tennis, everyone. Tennis.
Hey, 25-year-old American Tommy Paul will now lose to Djokovic in the semis, but he's the first American man to make it to the semis since Roddick in 2009. He beat former Gator Ben Shelton, 20-year-old big serving lefty who won the national championship a year ago. Remember that name, Ben Shelton. He's the next,
Sell it, Moulton.
Just remember the name. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there
Ben
you go.
Shelton. There it is.
Ben Shelton. Remember the name.
that name.
Remember the name. That's all.
I hope you're right.
It'd be great. It'd be interesting to see. Is boxing dead? If we get a great American heavyweight, will anybody pay attention and care? If Coco Gauff and Ben Shelton become the next 2 in the American female and male tennis player lineage, will people in this country even give a blank? Don't know. Or will pickleball be bigger?
And I don't think people will ever watch pickleball, but from a participatory standpoint, it's already bigger. And we'll see. With golf being divided, with Live Golf and PGA, does tennis have a hole to slip into? Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
At Bass Pro Shop, you can buy pickleball gear. Or the pro shop, as in, like,
I'm guessing it like a country club.
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I'm sure it's in our tennis pro shop. It's not in the golf pro shop. There's separate pro shops for golf and tennis, but I'm sure the pickleball stuff is there.
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely. You know, you play a lot of pickleball and then you step onto a tennis court and you realize how much bigger a tennis court is than a pickleball court.
I love Dandy. I'm making pickles. In India? You're making pickles in India?
How about poor Sam Pittman's making $5 million at Arkansas, and he's only making more than 2 coaches in the SEC.
I know. Poor Sam Pittman.
Poor Sam Pittman.
Poor Sam Pittman.
$5 million just doesn't get you as far in Fayetteville as it used to, David.
You're just a piece of. You're a turd. He's making more than what, the Vandy coach, the Mississippi State coach?
Well, they don't have the Vandy coach listed because it's private and we don't get to know that, but I think we can assume that he's not making $5 million at Vandy.
I think that's a very, very good assumption.
And he's making more than the Mississippi State coach. That's it.
The new guy who just got hired.
Yeah. The Missouri coach is making $6 million.
Yeah, I know.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now?
It does seem a little out of place.
Well, it was funny. Played golf with my Iowa buddy yesterday. He told me that gal that had the triple-double against Ohio State 2 nights ago.
Caitlin Clark.
She's making $1.2 million NIL all in.
Good for her.
Right.
That's awesome.
And he said the lineman that left and went to Alabama.
Yeah.
Now, and this is Mike, and I don't, but he goes, they offered him $300,000 and it just wasn't enough. He went to Alabama for $1 million in a car. I don't know, but I think these numbers are all lies. because the school's not going to dispute it, and the agents push the price up by throwing any number they want out there.
We can talk about this if you want.
Sure. The hell else are we going to do?
10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. It's the final Wednesday of January. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Soren Petro from Kansas City to join us in an hour. So we'll begin to look ahead to the conference championship games. Seth Everett to join us in his regular spot, a little after 8:30 here on Miller and Moulton. Did you, I know the Josh Heupel story that I threw out there, that kind of, I don't want to say it rattled you, but it got your attention. You know,
Definitely.
just how much money he's making. And the Tennessee football coach, after the best season they've had in 20 years, he got an extension through the rest of the decade, and he got a raise. He's now making $9 million a year. $9 million a year, 12-game regular season. That's $750,000 a game. Here's my favorite part of that deal, Mark. He also has bonuses. You know, this is one of my 5 biggest pet peeves in the world. When I pay you $9 million, you don't get a bonus for anything, okay? I don't care. Win the conference championship. Go to the playoff. Win a playoff game. Don't care. Don't care. You're expected to do this. We're paying you $9 million.
For a second there, I thought you were Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Call your agent. Talk to your God. I don't care.
It didn't surprise me at all that Heupel got that kind of money because my alma mater is the one that started this. One good season, pay your new coach $9 million. That set the precedent. There's no, with Mel Tucker getting the money, that definitely set the precedent for other coaches after 1 year to get paid. What stunned me was what SEC coaches are. When you look at it on the whole,
right,
it is really something.
Uh-huh.
Here are the SEC coaching salaries in order for you, in case you were wondering. Because we told you that Josh Heupel is 5th, tied for 5th,
right,
at $9 million.
Right, T5.
Nick's making 12.
Or as we like to say, Mark, barely on the first page of the leaderboard.
Right, right. And I don't know if all the $9 million guys would get to the, you know, when they have that tie there, not all of them make that.
Well, right. They go by either alphabetical order, by what hole you finished last, or whether or not they just like you more.
And I'm actually looking at, I don't know if Bud did this. Bud Elliott put the tweet out. The pitcher, I don't know if it comes from Bud. But Nick's making 12
million a game.
Kirby's making 11.
900,000 a game.
Brian Kelly's making 10.
Yeah, okay.
So's Jimbo.
Right.
Lane, Josh Heupel, and Mark Stoops are all making 9.
Wow, it's funny. I thought Stoops was making 8.5, so he's making 9 too.
That's what they've got this at. Okay.
Now remember, all three
for you, because all 3 of them, one of them gets on the first page of the leaderboard. The other ones don't.
Lane.
I think it's Lane.
Yeah, it'd be Lane.
That's how they have it listed here too. Not alphabetical. Lane first.
Now, for the record, it should be, since in golf, the way they're supposed to list the leaderboard is whoever has finished the most holes. If there's a 3-way tie and one guy's played through 17, the other through 15, the other through 14, the guy who's gone through 17 should be listed first. Okay, that means Stoops should be listed first. Stoops
signed the longest.
He signed his $9 million contract. Then Lane went to his AD and go, you do know Mark Stoops is making 9. I mean, you got to pay me at least that. And so that point, Josh Heupel went, you do know Mark Stoops and Lane are making 9. Don't you think I should make 9? So that's the golf leaderboard. Okay. Stoops is at the bottom of page 1. Lane and Heupel start page 2.
Right. But me, as someone, if I'm the producer director here,
Totally.
I'm debunking what David said and said, I don't care.
Right.
Lane goes on the leaderboard first. More people know who he is.
Exactly. This is when Tiger, Phil, and Rory. Okay. Yes. They break all ties because their names are Tiger, Phil, and Rory. Right.
Billy Napier, Shane Beamer, Hugh Freeze, $7 million.
Gator fans, how you feeling about that, huh? Cost of doing business, I know. But so Shane Beamer at South Carolina and Hugh Freeze, who just got the gig.
Right.
And he had to get a raise. I mean, Liberty, I think, was going to pay him 5. Remember, he signed that deal. He honored that contract for like 3 weeks.
Eli Drinkwitz from Missouri is making $6 million. He is your $6 million man.
Let me tell you, who has it better than Eli Drinkwitz? I mean, seriously, you go 6-6 there. They give you an extension, for goodness sakes. We're bowl eligible.
Sam Pittman's making $5 million at Arkansas.
That's outrageous. If I'm Pittman, I'm striking. No way I'm going to continue to work and make less money than the Missouri coach.
You know what? He'd have a dadgum good point.
Don't care how disappointing last season was. We still went to a bowl. All right. I'm making less than Eli. This isn't Eli Gold, okay? Come on.
And
I'd be okay making less money than Eli Gold, but not Eli Drinkwitz.
And Zach Arnett, the new Mississippi State coach, is making $3 million. We don't have a number on the Vandy coach. It's a private school. They don't have to declare or disclose that information. But I think it's safe to say that the Vandy coach is last.
Well, because federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, so it's somewhere between that and national minimum wage. That's what they're paying at Vandy.
And as Ryan points out in our Twitch chat room, don't forget Texas and Oklahoma are coming in too.
Right. It's just a 14-team conference for one more year. Hasn't been officially announced yet, but we all know Texas and Oklahoma are joining in 24. So there you have it. Seriously, though, if you're Sam Pittman, I can't believe making less than Eli Drinkwitz. What the heck? Then again, you got Mrs. Drinkwitz going, I can't believe they're paying you $6 million. I mean, I love you. I occasionally sleep with you. You got to be kidding me. $6 million?
To coach Missouri?
You haven't done that good a job. I mean, it's a hard job and all. Bowl eligible is an accomplishment, but man.
Got a text that says, I feel great about the Napier contract, and once the turnaround is complete, he'll be in the top 5.
There you go. Wow. There you go.
I'm going to read that again, Gator fan, and I want you to respond to this text to the show.
Yes, no, maybe so.
Damn right, David. I feel great about the Napier contract, and once the turnaround is complete, he'll be in the top 5.
Agree, disagree. Yes, no, maybe so. Go.
21,000, Gator fan.
We'll know exactly what you're talking about if you text us yes, no, maybe so.
Somehow I think there'll be a few hell no's that'll come in during that one as well.
And it's only been a year.
Right.
It's only been a year. Hey, speaking of college football and money, did you see the little blurb that Front Office Sports threw out there middle of the day yesterday?
I did not.
I call it a blurb. Okay. My mother used that word. Okay. It's kind of like a footnote. So, I felt the need to translate that because, I don't even know if that's like proper English. I don't even know if that's a word that's you can use in the spelling bee or in Scrabble. A blurb. But I'm quoting my mother.
Okay.
Front Office Sports, middle of the day yesterday. As part of a new agreement with Learfield, those are the people that broadcast their games and radio and all that. Alabama will build a dedicated NIL hub called the Advantage Center. That's right. It's going to be a building. It's going to be staffed. They're going to handle NIL. All right. Somebody who is a big Ohio State person, all right, Ohio State, mind you, sent out this tweet that said, Ohio State has to sit down and ask themselves honestly, can they compete with this? Bama is going to be breaking ground on an actual NIL facility.
Strange to me because I thought that was supposed to be separate from the school.
Well, I mean, it is. They're not going to give Nick the key to the Advantage Center, Mark. It's just going to be somewhere where he can see it. I mean, I don't even know if they'll let the phones like connect. Like, I don't even know if he'll be able to pick up the phone and like hit a button and dial over there, Mark. I mean, there will be a clear wall.
Does anybody remember when the audio came out of Nick saying that Texas A&M bought all their players?
Right.
And everybody thought what Nick was doing was criticizing Jimbo. When in actuality, what Nick was doing was explaining to his boosters what needed to be done in order for Alabama to stay number one in the country.
Correct. He
it was
pointed
never
out.
a shot at Jimbo. Jimbo took it that way. It became a nice little Twitter war and a couple of comments back and forth. But really and truly what Nick was saying to the Alabama boosters is, guys,
we're losing.
We're losing. And we're losing players because of money. Do you want to continue to lose players because of money?
Hell no, coach. Well, then we need to step up our game. And by step up our game, it means you guys need to get your wallets out and keep them out, okay? Because it's legal now. We don't have to put this in a brown paper bag, all right? You know, we can just do this out in the open. Hell, we can build a building.
And if we get the wrong ones, we need that building to get the transfers in where we made mistakes. Because we all make mistakes.
Right. Just so you know, if we ended up buying the wrong players, then I'll need to pick 3 or 4 really good ones off of teams' rosters at the end of every season.
And we don't care. We'll go to Iowa. We'll go to the SEC. It doesn't matter where we go. But if we need a lineman, we're going to get one.
Right. Hey, that running back at Georgia Tech, he's pretty good. Ask him if he wants to do the same thing at Alabama. Here's the deal. More money, less carries, he'll go higher in the draft. That's our sales pitch.
Think that'll work? Now get me my building.
The Advantage Center, brought to you by Geico.
It's almost as if Alabama looked at what the rest of the teams around the country were doing, whether it was Ruiz in Miami, whether it was the Gator Collective, and they just took the best of everything and combined it into one very quickly so that in a very short time, Alabama will be the best at name, image, and likeness.
If I have to listen to David Pollack tell me how good Georgia is one more time, so help me. Miller and Moulton, Clutch Vodka play of the day coming up.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686 or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, that's right. Golf starts today.
Yes, the Wednesday through Saturday.
Right. Big tournaments though. The live guys are playing in the Hero Dubai Desert Classic tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah, because that thing's still going. So Reed, Answer.
No, that's the DP World Tour.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
said.
gotcha. Oh, I'm sorry, I heard you say live.
The live guys are playing on the DP World Tour tomorrow.
Well, did you hear the little brouhaha on the practice tee?
That's what I'm reading about right now.
Felipe, you ready?
Yes. "15 seconds." Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Minutes past the hour. Thanks for joining us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Soren Petro from Sports Radio in Kansas City to join us at the top of the hour. Seth Everett in a little more than an hour. Thanks so much for being with us. You know, Mark, during the break we were talking, I failed to mention it last hour in the starting five, but PGA Tour's got a Wednesday through Saturday thing going this week.
They're smart enough to avoid championship weekend, championship Sunday.
Well, also, I mean, they did it because of Nance. I mean, you know, Nance isn't missing either. He's not missing the golf. He's not missing the AFC Championship game. So it's got to be in two places at the same time, in theory, if they play Thursday through Sunday. Can't have that, Mark. Can't have Andrew Catalan do the final round of the Farmers Insurance Open from Torrey Pines, okay? It's got to be Jim Nance.
Wow. Look at you over there.
So we got to move the tournament, okay? So they are.
I like the final round on Saturday. I'll pay more attention to it. I wouldn't watch a shot on Sunday.
Hey, we've talked about this with other tours. You know, we talked about it with the past with the LPGA or the Champions or what have you. Should you move your days around as to when you play to get more, you know, airtime, if you will? Just a thought. But also, I believe we're getting like live CBS because contractually CBS has to show like the third round. So like, I think we're like not getting local news on Friday. I think they're like showing golf on CBS.
Seriously?
Well, I'm telling you, look it up. Felipe, well, you got to do the play of the day here coming up. I'll try to look it up. But I thought I saw during one of the NFL games when they were running a promo, they said their coverage, because this is their CBS's first golf tournament of the year.
Right.
And they have a new analyst. Faldo retired. It's what, Trevor Immelman?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so this is kind of a big deal for them. And I think CBS contractually has to show third and fourth round action, which means third round golf from the West Coast. I think it like starts like around 5:00.
You're exactly right. Wednesday and Thursday coverage will be 3 to 7 on the Golf Channel. Friday, the Golf Channel will start the coverage from 3 to 5 and CBS taking over from 5 until 8. Not like those are 3 important hours for local stations to make any money.
No, it's only 2 hours worth of news and an hour of Wheel and Jeopardy. That's all. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Here's the other thing.
I thought the biggest golf story was Patrick Reed throwing a tee at Rory McIlroy.
Well, we'll get to that. But I mean, here's the best part too, is that east of the Mississippi, the secretaries will have gone home at the front desk when the golf is on, basically. Because if they don't notice for the local news, nobody's going to call and complain because their local news isn't on. You know when they're going to call and complain? 7 in the east, 6 central, when all of a sudden Wheel of Fortune's not on. And they're going to be like, what the heck? And then they're going to call and complain. There's going to be nobody there to answer the phone. Man, can't wait. And then they won't come back until Monday.
A lot of voicemails.
Oh, my goodness. And the vitriol that'll be left.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But the other part, tomorrow on the DP World Tour, they're playing the Hero Dubai Desert Classic. And unlike on the PGA Tour, live golfers can play on the DP World Tour
for another month until the trial begins.
But that means that Patrick Reed, Abraham Answer, Henrik Stenson, Lee Westwood, and Ian Poulter are all playing on the DP World Tour event this weekend.
Right.
So's Rory.
Right. He's been very open to the guys who have gone to the LIV Tour. He's been very understanding, very accommodating.
Apparently, Patrick Reed said hello to Rory. Rory did not acknowledge Reed's attempt for hello, and then Reed threw a tee at his direction.
And the story I heard was he was trying to say hi to Rory. Rory didn't even look up at him.
Didn't acknowledge him.
So then he tried to like shake hands with Rory's caddy. And that, nothing. So then Reed uttered, a few things and threw a tee at him. Walked away. Yeah.
I will say, one of the sites that we like out there, David, the Fried Egg, has a list of things, an unscientific list of things that you would want to throw at an opposing golfer if you were mad and actually wanted to inflict harm. Starts with pitching wedge, then putter, irons, and woods. Golf ball, rangefinder, a shoe is number 4. A canister of divot mix is number 5.
Ooh.
I'd put that ahead of the shoe personally. A full Gatorade, a coin ball marker, the empty Gatorade at 8. Your ball mark repair tool at number 9. Very underrated what damage you could do with a ball mark repair tool. Any sort of food, your chicken salad sandwich, hot dog with condiments, or other messy foods at 10. Your towel wet at 11. A hat and visor at 12. The dry towel at 13. An empty cup or can at 14. A head cover at 15. And Patrick Reed's tee coming in at number 16.
So there you have it. Emotions are running high.
Just hope that as many live golfers are paired with PGA Tour golfers on Saturday and Sunday. That's
Totally.
all you can hope for.
Yes, it's what you want. You want the final 3 twosomes to be, PGA LIV, PGA LIV, PGA LIV.
Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you have for us today?
Go to the ice. This one's for Seth. Devils, OT winner.
Still 55 seconds on the power play for the Devils. Hughes cruises through center and gains the zone. Submarines and tries to get past McNabb. Hamilton does it again! The Devils win it in overtime on the power play. The second consecutive game for Dougie Hamilton. And Hughes.
Little power play winner for Dougie Hamilton. How about that?
OT winner, Doug Hamilton with the goal, and the crowd mic up a little too hot at the Devils Golden Knights game.
Hamilton tied it with 1:10 left in regulation to send it to OT and then wins it in OT.
And that's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K. Check them out at clutchspirits.com. Look for it anywhere you buy your vodka and recommend that your liquor store carries Clutch Vodka.
Just to clarify, Wheel and Jeopardy are syndicated shows. So depending on the market that you live in, they could be on a Fox station, a CBS, an ABC, or an NBC. But just, you get the idea. And they are on a lot of CBS stations. But like in Southwest Florida, they happen to be on the local NBC station. But you get the idea. That's what we were going with there.
And the point is that 7 to 8 syndicated programming is a cash cow for a network.
As are the 5 to 6:30 in the East. That's 90 minutes of local news. That's ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Never mind preempting the CBS Evening News. I mean, that used to be like literally, it didn't matter unless a president was shot. You didn't preempt the network Evening News. I mean, Rather, Brokaw, and Jennings were on at 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central, unless literally there was one of the 5 major stories in the history of the country. Not the Farmers Insurance Open.
Cronkite didn't turn in his grave. He's spinning in his grave right now with this going on.
I mean, Torrey's a nice course and all, but come on.
Miller and Moulton. Oh, that is absolutely something. I was stunned when you told me that.
I know. I couldn't believe it either when I saw the promo. I'm like, did they say 5 o'clock on Friday?
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Back with more in a moment right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686, or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
On Philly, but that's why you don't mess with original jerseys, because that looks perfect right there.
Yeah.
The Bruins and the Canadians don't ever wear anything else. Those red Canadian sweaters are so flippin' hot,
They're pretty awesome.
and I hate the Canadians.
It's the best rivalry in the sport.
DC, I got you. They have alternative channels, but the ratings numbers on the regular networks still are far superior to anything else out there. The money that they're sacrificing on this is unbelievable. I'm stunned. Stunned.
And the other thing is that they actually, CBS has to do the evening news because there will be affiliates that won't carry the golf. There will be affiliates that will say, screw it, we're not running the golf. Okay, and also depending on the time zone that you're in, they don't always redo the news and do it live in other time zones. Like in theory, they tape it. They do it live at 6:30. That newscast runs in the Eastern and Central time zones. I'm not even paying attention to the Canucks, DC. They're an embarrassment.
I didn't follow that front office sports until you said that. I did start following them on Twitter. Did you see if they had a tweet about the Canucks that went through all their coaches in, just like over the course of 12 years, it's just 12 years of blank hockey, of bleep hockey.
Well, I mean, since they lost the final to Boston in 2011, right?
Right.
Basically, dead struck. They've all but eliminated sports. They gutted their sports coverage last week.
Ten seconds. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Miss any part of the show? Well, go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Download our podcasts. And we're very appreciative of you listening, however and whenever it is that you do. Mark, the NFL salary cap is a challenge to pay attention to as a fan. At least I find it to be, I find the NBA salary cap to be pretty easy, to be honest. I mean, it's $58 million. Well, what's the cap hit? That's $58 million. Hockey. You and I are hockey guys. That's a hard cap, baby. There's an AAV. It doesn't matter. That's it. Every year, boom, there it is. This guy counts $7.6 million against the cap. It's a hard cap, too, by the way. Good luck. And it hasn't gone up in the last 3 years, like $1 million a year for each of the last 3 years. Teams are broke. They've got like $8.78 heading into the trade deadline here in a couple of months. So Aaron Rodgers yesterday, Mark, on the Pat McAfee show, his weekly appearance every Tuesday, he said, well, listen, I don't know if I'm playing next year. I really don't. But if I do, we're probably going to have to rework the contract. Huh. Okay. Why is that? Well, because apparently he's supposed to get in cash next year, Mark. In cash.
Right.
$59,515,000.
Yep, that's the number I've got.
Cash.
Pretty good number.
Here's the fascinating thing, though. How much of that counts against the cap?
31.6.
Correct. There's only a $28 million difference there. That's all, no big deal. So he gets paid, yet because of how the contract is structured, only a little more than half of it actually counts against next year's cap. And if you're wondering how, it's complicated. Roster bonuses, signing bonuses, workout bonuses, options that are picked up, the whole deal. But basically, they've deferred, there's dead cap hits down the road. Let's just say he only plays next year. And then they get rid of him. He doesn't retire. If he retires, but they get rid of him. Well, it would count $25 million against the cap in 24, $16 million in 25, $8 million in 26. I mean, the Packers are going to pay for Aaron Rodgers down the road if they keep him.
Right. I mean, just for the record, in 2025, the cap hit for Aaron Rodgers is nearly $60 million.
Right.
His cash that year is $21 million. The cap hit is $59 million.
So the complete opposite of what's on the books for next year, when he gets 59.5 in cash and it only counts 31.6 on the bottom line. But here's the thing that the NFL does. They're like, listen, you guys can go nuts working this contract however you want to do it. But if you trade a guy or cut a guy, okay, and he's got guaranteed money, well, all that money has to go on your cap immediately. I mean, you can't say, give us 90 days to work. No. You cut him. And so, if the Packers wanted to, you know what, we're done with this Aaron Rodgers saga. We're just going to cut him, which obviously they wouldn't just cut him. But if they did, their cap hit for this year, $99,778,568. Well, I mean, that's 40% of the cap. And cap's going to go up to $240. And Aaron Rodgers is going to cost you $100 million. By the way, the same rules apply if they trade him. And that's why, Mark, with Aaron, I don't know how you look at and listen to Aaron these days. But when I listen to him, I kind of feel like I'm dealing with Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky impeachment thing. I'm listening for when he said, well, it depends on what the definition of is. That's how I break down Aaron Rodgers when he goes on McAfee. It's like, okay, here, let's figure out one of these sentences is the truth. Which is it? And the sentence that I'm focusing on is him talking about renegotiating with the Packers. Because, Mark, why would the Packers want to renegotiate this deal? Unless he's not going to be a Green Bay Packer next year.
Why would they do that? I was ready for the memes to start popping up there. Now, why is that?
Why? Because, as we just detailed, hell, his cap hit next year is just 31.6. It's kind of a bargain. Hell, Daniel Jones might cost the Giants more on the cap next year. Probably will, in fact. And Aaron Rodgers is going to cost the Packers on the cap. And that's really all you care about, right? So if you hear, Mark, that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are, quote, reworking, unquote, his deal, there's really only one conclusion. He gone.
And that's that Aaron's not a Green Bay Packer anymore.
Right. Because if he retires, it's largely null and void. I don't think it's completely, because they moved some bonuses. There's still going to be a cap hit, but it's not $99 million. It's going to be I think 24 spread out over a couple years. But if he's staying, they don't need to rework it at hell. Hell, Aaron Rodgers for 31.6 on the cap? Seriously? That's tremendous. But if they're reworking it, well, then they're moving on from him. And we're assuming they ain't cutting him.
Because
So,
31 million works out well if they're actually going to go out and try to retool this team on the fly.
yeah.
What do you need? You need Aaron Rodgers' number to be as low as possible to attract as many free agents and try to give this team the help that they need to get back on top of the division.
Now, if you're saying technically that he could stay and rework it so that his cap figure is less, well, hell, they're already having to pay him $60 million in cash next year. I mean, think about how much more cash they'd have to come up with to lower that cap figure. Now, they've got the money. I mean, it is the one team that we actually do see their books. We know they're swimming in cash. No matter what their building costs are and all that. I mean, the Packers are making money.
It is driving the rest of the NFL crazy that these books are out in the open. Don't kid yourself.
Yep. So I think that's a conclusion we can come to and feel pretty good about. What's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. But if I hear that he and the Packers are reworking his contract, he gone.
And he's probably damn near already gone when it happens. It means that they may have even worked out a deal. And all these sides will be working together on this. I mean, if they're going to deal him, they're going to get with the agent. That's how this... They'll be able to keep this quiet as long as humanly possible.
When it involves the Packers, you and I read Andrew Brandt, and we, even though he has not been a part of the organization for a decade, but he spent a decade with the organization. And he was there when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, and he knows him. And he says, you know, we get along well. Andrew Brandt tweeted yesterday, I think Rodgers and the Packers already know how this is ending. They're just working it out. And he, for the first time, for what it's worth, I mean, you know, it's an educated guess, if you will. The rest of us, you know, are not. Andrew Brandt saying, I'm probably an educated guess when it concerns the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, especially since I was there with the whole Favre divorce. And he said, I have to admit, I'm seeing similarities. And I think both sides will make sure it doesn't get that messy as it did 15 years ago. But he believes, Mark, that Rodgers has taken his last snap as a Packer.
What do you think Aaron Rodgers would get in a trade? What would be the minimum you would take if you were Green Bay for an Aaron Rodgers deal at this point in his career?
Well, I think much like Derek Carr and the Raiders, like Carr has a full no trade. Now, Carr is obviously going to allow himself to be traded, but he's going to make sure he goes to where it is he wants to go. Don't you think, Mark, that Rodgers is the same way, that, you know, that he's not going to be sent somewhere in which he goes, I don't have any interest in going to Arizona.
No, I've got you, but we know who the suitors are and who the possible teams are. And I think there's a decent amount of them.
Okay. I don't believe, if you're Aaron Rodgers, that if you decide to, you know what, I'm going to keep playing, but I'm going to play somewhere besides Green Bay. I don't think you're doing it for a year. Now, I think it could turn out to be a year if you win the Super Bowl and you just decide, well, I can't do any better than this. I'm walking off into the sunset. But I think, Mark, I mean, he's 39. And he views himself as every bit as athletic as Tom. So I think if you're acquiring Rodgers, that he is pretty much said to you, well, I'll give you at least 2. Well, if I'm getting 2 years of Aaron Rodgers, I'm willing to give up a pick, if you know what I mean. But that's me. But, I mean, Mark, the Jets haven't made the playoffs since 2010. Let me look over here. The Jets have the 13th pick of the draft. If the Packers said to the Jets, listen, we'll make this really short and sweet. Give us the 13th pick of the draft, you could have Aaron Rodgers. It's 10 minutes before the hour. How long is it going to take you to send them the paperwork and agree to that deal?
It would happen really quickly on my part.
I'm pretty much before we sign off here.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I think so that's my assumption here. Because you're on the phone with Aaron going, listen, I mean, you only going to play a year? Kind of need to make plans. Not that we're not going to acquire you, because we are, but we kind of need to also maybe get your replacement on the roster too. And he's like, no, I'll give you a couple. I don't know about 3, but I'll definitely give you 2. Oh, okay, thanks. We'll get back to you.
And I think Aaron's smug enough that it doesn't necessarily, he wouldn't say, I think he'd go to the AFC and welcome it. I know he would rather go to the NFC, but they don't want to trade him there.
I forget when you asked me. I don't know if it was Monday. I don't know. It was late last week. But you asked me, said, hey, you got to go on the record here. Where's Rodgers going to play next year? And I said, I think he's going to Tennessee. By the way, how about the quarterbacks? If Aaron Rodgers ends up in the AFC, how about the quarterbacks in the AFC?
Well, where, if you're Aaron Rodgers in the NFC, would you want? They obviously wouldn't trade him in the division. So, where would be the team in the NFC that you'd want to pick right now? That would want you, that where it works.
All right, very quickly, teams that need a clear upgrade at quarterback in the NFC. If you're Aaron Rodgers, would you say yes to Washington?
No.
Okay. Would you say yes to any team in the NFC South? Bucks, Panthers, Saints. Because the Falcons won't do it.
Probably not.
Okay. doesn't leave you a lot of options then. If we're ruling the North out, now we're in the West.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that's why I think AFC.
Unless somehow, some way, Dallas wants to cut Dak, and
they can't for one more year.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. Can't trade him either, because then all the bonus money goes immediately on the cap. And so, no, they're stuck with Dak for one more year. So that's why I'm thinking AFC. And remember, where did they send Favre? To the Jets. Now, he left after a year, went to Minnesota. But I'm saying Tennessee. But it would not shock me, Mark, between the 2 number 12s in Green Bay and Tampa Bay, it really wouldn't shock me if the Jets made a major play for either one.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. We'll figure out where the old quarterbacks go someday on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686 or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang
at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I love we get a text that Brock Purdy has more playoff wins in the last 3 years than Aaron Rodgers. That's funny. Yeah, dun, dun. David, the movie MASH premiered today in 1970. Oh, he doesn't even have headsets on. He's of no use to us. Felipe's trying to stay awake over there.
Calling Soren.
Got a great text. Hasn't Brock Purdy won more playoff games in the last 3 years than Aaron Rodgers? Yes.
That would be a yes. So are you saying you would prefer to have Brock Purdy as your quarterback? Although I will say you are getting Brock Purdy for $700,000. Funny, Hops. Nice. Adam, they do have the cap room, but I don't think he would go there. They're not ready. Plus, they freed up all this cap room so that they could kind of put the team back together again.
Sorry,
They were-
it's on hold.
Soren's on hold?
Yes, Soren. 20 seconds.
Text I got yesterday, David, about the travel. I didn't realize that travel parent, it's awful. It says, more importantly, Mark, is Kirk Cousins a 1 o'clock first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Thanks so much for being with us. Third and final hour of Miller and Moulton along the network in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Soren Petro is kind enough to join us again. He's very busy these days. Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City. I mean, it's only the 5th straight year, Soren, that you're hosting the AFC Championship game. This must get boring.
Yeah, you do not plan vacations for this weekend because the expectation is that the Kansas City Chiefs will be playing. So it is a normalcy here, but maybe a little bit different this year as far as the expectations now after last week.
Follow Soren on Twitter at Soren Petro, Soren Petro.
Well, what is the mood in Kansas City right now? Obviously, the excitement of getting back to the championship game, but with so much uncertainty about Mahomes, I have to imagine it's like a gray cloud floating over the city at the moment.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think you hear optimism. You know, every Chiefs fan has decided that he'll be fine, and you know, he finished the game, so he'll just be a lot better. I don't know that that's necessarily what everybody should expect, but that's what you hear around town. But you know, I think everybody's uneasy. They know they're 0-3 against the Cincinnati Bengals in the last 14 months, and that was with a healthy Patrick Mahomes. So I don't think the confidence level is what it would have been had he not hurt the ankle last week.
Soren, why is it that they can't finish off the Bengals? Because they've had a lead in all 3 games. Heck, I believe they've had a fourth quarter lead in all 3 games. And in 2 of the games, at one point in time, they've been up by 14 or more points. What is it about the Bengals that they're the Chiefs' kryptonite?
You know, it's probably more mental than anything. You know, last time out, Travis Kelce fumbles after a big gain out to midfield, which looks like they're on the way to another score and is going to ice the game against Cincy. But again, Kelce puts the ball on the ground. Not really puts it on the ground. I shouldn't put it that way. I mean, it's ripped out of his grasp after a big play. He's surrounded by 4 Bengals, and they just made a great play to take the ball away. And so, you know, listen, in each and every game, you can find a reason why, well, if they just do this, then they win. But the reality is good football teams find a way to win close games. Not that the Chiefs are a bad team, but when measuring these two, when it's been close, the Bengals have made the plays that matter. I think one of them is the Bengals have played very aggressively. You know, they've gone for it on 4th down when they needed to. They've kept the Chiefs off the field. Andy Reid has punted the ball back to him and expected his offense or his defense to get the football back for him, and it hasn't happened. And so I think the Bengals have been more aggressive. I think Taylor's gotten the advantage on Andy Reid in those games, not hugely. But there's no doubt that when key plays needed to be made, the Bengals, and key decisions needed to be made, the Bengals were the one making them.
You know, a lot of people expected this offense to maybe slow down a little bit with no Tyreek Hill, and obviously first in all categories again. What impressed you most about the transition of this offense this year?
You know, I think you expected Andy Reid to have a good game plan and that he would have good designs and he would change, you know, his offense and the play calling to fit the strengths of what his team is. But I think it's more the maturity of Patrick Mahomes, and maybe that's why there's a little more confidence than maybe you would expect with the injured ankles, because he did evolve. You know, he couldn't just go exclusively down the field. They have guys, when healthy, McCole Hardman can stretch the defense. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, you know, was the only guy who ran in 21 at a faster speed than Tyreek Hill did. So there's still top-end speed on this offense, but not the top-end speed with the ability to adjust and go make catches in the air. Valdes-Scantling may be a fine athlete, but he's not the receiver that Tyreek Hill was, and Patrick Mahomes knows that. So he uses Valdes-Scantling when he needs to on the deep stuff, but has done a much better job of working the underneath and taking what the defense has given him. And so while, you know, I think he's been wildly talented, he's been an MVP, I think this year he was a more cerebral quarterback, and you know, he evolved with Andy Reid's offense to maximize the strengths of what he did have.
He's Soren Petro, host of the program on Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City. Also, you can see him on the Red, Gold, and Bold live stream on their YouTube channel. Follow Soren on Twitter, Soren, S-O-R-E-N, Petro. Hey, obviously the Bills defense could not take advantage of the Bengals missing the 3 offensive line starters. I think the snow might have helped, but also the Bills defensive line is undersized. You know, the Chiefs have a couple guys that you have trouble blocking if you're healthy. Do you think that the Chiefs are better positioned to exploit the Bengals offensive line than the Bills?
You know, I think it may depend on what the weather is. It snowed here last night. There was snow in the forecast for Sunday. It was in the morning. They've now taken that out, but we're still a little ways away. We'll see how that evolves. It's definitely going to be cold, I think, kicking off in the teens and finishing up maybe in the single digits when it's all said and done. We'll see if any moisture comes in and if it is snowy. And I think that was part of the equation. I talked to Tim Grunhard, who used to play center for the Chiefs, Pro Bowl center, and he said snow is an offensive lineman's best friend. You know, if a defensive lineman can't get their footing, it definitely helps out the offensive line. And I think, you know, the hope, if you're a Chiefs fan and trying to figure things out, and maybe the reality as well, is that the Bengals O-line wasn't exposed the way it could have been if Buffalo had better footing. And so if it's a solid ground here, if the defensive line can get better traction, I think the Chiefs will be more equipped just because of a better track to take advantage of that Bengals offensive line. They had gotten pressure against Burrow in some of these other games. Usually they would get around him and not get him down. You know, Chris Jones, this has become a common story, and he talked about it going into last week's game, and it was true again last week, still has 0 sacks in the postseason for his career. He's been very good at getting the quarterback down throughout his career. He's played a lot of postseason games, and to have 0 sacks is probably a little bit of an anomaly, but there's something there as well. It's becoming a little bit mental. And so, you know, he needs to have a big game, and that has yet to happen. He's done some things, you know, in the Super Bowl, the 2019 season, he batted down a couple of passes late against Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. He's made big plays, but he has not put the quarterback down yet in his postseason career. And I just don't see a scenario where they win without him, at least the defense as a whole and the defensive line specifically, having a day where they put Joe Burrow down a number of times. So I think it will be one of the key matchups because the defense is going to have to play better than it ever has in these last 3 matchups against the Bengals.
It's fun watching Pacheco run against the Jags. I think he'll have to do it more against the Bengals. Do you?
Yes and no. I mean, I think, you know, a lot of people figure, hey, he was 12 carries for 95 yards. So looked for him to get up towards 20 carries. And I think it will be important for them to run the football effectively, but Andy Reid is always going to throw the ball. I think he, you know, was one of the first guys to believe the adage that you throw to win and you run when you're winning. I think the running has to be a part of getting to the winning part of the equation this time. I think there's no doubt, but I think that's been true throughout the course of the year. You know, they've done a great job. Andy Reid in the past, you know, wanted one back to do everything. He's never really kind of divided up the duties, and he's had to do that this year, and he's embraced it. McKinnon's the better receiver. McKinnon's by far the better pass blocker, one of the best pass blocking running backs out there, and he's become a real weapon in the short yardage passing, and that, you know, their screen game and now Patrick Mahomes being willing to just flare the ball out to the running back on the side has really been an extension of their run. So, yes, I don't think Isaiah Pacheco can have a day where he has nothing going, but the idea that they're going to morph into the Titans and pound away with the running game and right, really let that be their lead, I would be shocked. It'd be the first time Andy Reid's done it since he came to Kansas City.
I have to assume that the Bengals are going to do a much better job on Kelsey than the Jags did. I mean, 14 catches, for goodness sakes. Let's just say the Bengals bracket Kelsey damn near the whole game, and they literally look at Mahomes and Andy Reid and say, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to go somewhere else to beat us, especially on third downs in the red zone. Do they have enough elsewhere to beat them if Kelsey is doubled all game?
When that was really the evolution of McKinnon in the passing game. You know, coming down the stretch, I think the last 5 games of the regular season, Travis Kelsey didn't have a touchdown catch, and I think was averaging like 5 catches for 70 yards, something in that range, 61 yards, something like that. And so teams were starting to do that and saying, okay, we're not going to get beat by your best weapon. And all Jerick McKinnon did was over the last, like I said, 5 or 6 games have 8 touchdown catches, 9 for the season, which tied the NFL, the modern, at least since the merger record for touchdown catches by a running back in a season. So they found another weapon. He went someplace else with the football, and that's kind of the maturation I was talking about. He's willing to go wherever the matchup, is an advantage for the Kansas City Chiefs. Jacksonville didn't take that away from him. They did take away McKinnon. McKinnon was really not effective at all, other than a tremendous pass blocker again, which he always is. But they tried to take away what had been the go-to weapon for Patrick Mahomes coming down the stretch. They did that, and Kelsey had a big day. So Juju Smith-Schuster has had a big day in this offense. Kadarius Toney has added a weapon where he's not a big. The whole route tree is not on display with Kadarius Toney. Maybe it will be in the future, but the feature things that they can do with him really does open up the defense quite a bit. So, he's shown that he will go wherever the matchup, is best for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that Andy Reid will be good enough that Travis Kelce at least won't be shut out. I think he's, done too well. And I don't think the Bengals want to come away from what they've done in the past. They really get after Patrick Mahomes with either just their 4 or even 3, dropping 8, maybe with a spy. I don't think the spy will be necessary as much. And that's been effective. It hasn't shut the Chiefs out. Again, like you said, all these games have been close. They've been right there. Travis Kelce's had moments against the Bengals. I think he'll have moments, but I don't think the kind of game he had against Jacksonville will be the kind of game he has here against the Bengals.
Soren, stay warm. Thanks so much for making time for us. You back coaching or no? Taking this year off as well?
No hoops this year. So maybe in the future, but right now still all quiet.
All right. Soren Petro, former championship middle school basketball coach, now just stuck doing Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City. And watch him, Red, Gold, and Bold live stream on YouTube. Soren, thanks so much.
Always my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Follow him on Twitter, Soren, Soren Petro. Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City here on Miller and Moulton.
I don't know. And you're right. They're going to do a better job on Kelsey. I just don't know if it's possible to take him out of the game. They put him in the blocking situations. He spreads out of that. They move him a little bit. You have to not allow 17 targets at the man.
I think it'll be easier to defend Kelsey if Mahomes is going to be in shotgun and in the pocket all day. Like, they've got those half rolls and boots in which guys get lost. Okay. And if you wonder how much of that the Chiefs are going to be able to do, and that happens with Kelsey a lot in the red zone.
Because he can run whatever he wants. There's not really a pattern for him. He's just doing the opposite of what the defense is. And to your point, will he be able to if Mahomes is not allowed to move or not able to move as freely as he's been able to all season long?
So that's our first look ahead at the conference championship games. Rob Ellis will join us from Philly later on in the week. But, just a taste. Just a taste there.
Boy, sometimes you want more than a taste.
I understand, but it's Wednesday. Got 2 games on the weekend. We got, a few more hours of programming left this week. Got to spread it out.
Miller and Moulton. I feel a little unsatisfied. Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now 239-308-8686 or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Boeheim went all Jimbo last night in his presser. We're done.
Like their season's done?
No, someone asked him, you've lost 2 games in 8 days by 4 points. Why can't your team close out games? We're done. Didn't answer, just grabbed his stuff and left.
Next question. Or no, yeah, we're done.
We're done.
Adam, I think when them trading Tyreek, they extended their run from a cap standpoint. I think it's why they did it. The quarterbacks signed long term. Kelsey's still got another year or two at the highest level still in them, it appears. Now they got a couple guys on defense they're going to have to make interesting decisions about, but and offense runs this team. So, and Johnny, what do you want to say against the Chiefs? They've made 5 straight AFC Championship games. I mean, also he did say the Bengals have, outplayed, borderline outcoached the Chiefs in their 3 wins. I mean, I don't know. Boy, the money's coming in on the Bengals, right? They up to like Bengals -2.
Yeah. Just a 5-point swing since it opened.
No big deal or anything. I mean, it certainly appears that the Bengals are going to be favored. This will be the very first time Mahomes is ever an underdog in a playoff game. And Brisbee, we did talk about it. We talked about how tight Gray is, not just with Brady, but the family. And how, if Brady reacted that way to Jim Gray.
It's one of 2 things. I thought about what you said, David. Did he do it a little bit tongue-in-cheek, or did he do it saying, all right, I'm answering this way to Jim, letting everybody else know who asked me the question. They're going to get it worse. They're just going to get the death stare.
And I thought, Bruce, that part of it was also Brady saying to Jim Gray, dude, you would know. I would tell you. You would know. And I don't know. So what the blank?
But Jim Gray had to ask it.
Everybody, we can talk about this coming out about Brady yesterday. He was in Miami. He was at a private school. Well, don't know what to tell you. The ex-wife moved there, took the kids. I mean, kids got to go to school.
You saw that, David, him touring Miami Country Day High School?
Mm-hmm.
I need to start mentally preparing myself for the event that Tom Brady is a Dolphin.
No, see, we're going to talk about this on the air. I think people.
Ten seconds. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Miss any part of the show, you can download our podcast at floridasportsnetwork.com, like our interview last segment with Soren Petro, or if you're going to miss Seth Everett coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Mark, we talked Aaron Rodgers last hour. We were just talking Mahomes and his injury situation. Two things. First, about Mahomes and the Chiefs. It certainly appears as if they're going to be the betting underdog come Sunday.
Absolutely. This thing shifted from +2.5, +3 in favor of the Chiefs when it started. It's completely flipped.
Yeah, I saw it as high as 2. And what's it now? 2.5?
It was 2.5 yesterday. When it came out on my phone, 2.5, the Chiefs were favored. They are now a 1.5 point underdog, according to what I have. That's a 4-point swing from the start. And I've seen it as high as 2 with the Bengals being favored as well.
The significance of it is, for what it's worth, Mahomes has never been an underdog in a playoff game in his career. Now, Sunday will continue the fact that he has still not yet played a road playoff game. How remarkable is that, by the way? I mean, he's been the starting quarterback for 5 years. 5 years. They've never played a road playoff game. And no, the Super Bowl at Tampa doesn't count. It's neutral site. Besides, there were 521 people there. Come on. So you got that going. But in that Super Bowl, Mahomes played Brady. And needless to say, Mark, Twitter was a buzz yesterday. Ho! Tom Brady was in Miami.
Right, because his ex-wife moved there and they're finding schools for their children.
Mark, don't bring up the facts, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry. He was in Miami because he's going to play for the Dolphins because there was a chance that he did a couple of years ago, and that's why the whole tampering thing happened.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Get with the damn program, okay? Tom Brady was in Miami yesterday. He's only there for one reason, Mark. It's to play football. Has nothing to do with an ex-wife and children. It's not important, damn it. It's Tom Brady. He's still a quarterback. He was in Miami. So you know what that means.
You're right. I completely screwed up the lead. He's playing for the Dolphins.
Right. And that's why Giselle moved the kids there. It's not the other way around, okay?
I'm sorry. I screwed that up.
Nothing to do with him being a caring parent and touring private schools, because that's where his kids are going to go, and picking which one they want best. And since the two of them are not on speaking terms, she's touring when she's touring and he's touring when he's touring.
That's uncomfortable.
Well,
So, no, I mean for the schools. I don't mean for the two of them.
Oh, I don't think it's uncomfortable at all. I'd love to be the principal. Wait a minute. We get Tom on Tuesday and Giselle on Thursday? Seriously? I mean, can we sell refreshments? Should I alert the media?
The PE teacher's so fired up on all fronts.
I mean, this is fantastic because in theory, if I get your kids, I'm going to get your money. And not just, tuition money. I mean, come on. Once you're here, you realize, we
have fundraisers at these schools.
Yeah. And we don't do bake sales. I don't know if you're aware. I mean, this is Felipe. Where were they again?
I don't know.
That's Felipe helping out once again.
I thought you said they were at like Country Day or something.
Oh, Miami Country Day. Yeah. It's
now he
some
does
school,
know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's, a little more than $421 to go there.
It's a pretty nice school. Yeah. I'm sick of this already.
Why? What are you sick
Unbelievable.
of?
He is so anti-Brady being a Dolphin. This is unbelievable.
I think we need to do a Dolphins fan poll. No other fans. I need Dolphins fans. What do Dolphins fans think of this?
So you really okay? Listen, be careful of what you wish for. All right. So if we ask the question, which we won't do now, we're probably too late in the show. We may just ask it tomorrow. We'll get right out of the chute and what have you. So, Dolphin, if you had a choice as to who is your quarterback next year, Tom Brady or Tua, are you ready for the poll results?
It should be Tua.
No. Once again,
okay.
Are you prepared?
It should be Tua.
I am prepared for the results because I know what the results are going to be. It's going to be for Brady. But I don't care.
When's the last time Tua started and finished a season?
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
He threw as many touchdowns as Brady did that last year. 5 less games. Or you're going to say, the Dolphins have good receivers, so do the Bucks.
That's true. There's no doubt about it. No, one offense was better than the other, but there's no question. Listen, people may be on your side. They may think Tom's shot. I mean, Sean King
coming out now. Sean King, former center for the Bucks, came out and said, "Would we just quit this? Quit this charade with Brady? I understand he's the greatest of all time. All the accolades are warranted, but it's a shell of himself that's playing right now."
And so they're like, Sean King is like, forget it.
Ryan Clark said the same thing. Who would want this guy to quarterback their team? He tweeted it out during the game.
Maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. By the way, if we ask this question, it's just going to be the two. There's no third choice. There's going to be no Lamar, no Aaron Rodgers. No. No, if we're going to ask it, we're going to ask it. This is traumatizing to our young producer here. If we're asking it, it will be specifically for Felipe.
And I know it would be good for the organization. They'd sell.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
No, they'd
Maybe
sell
not.
so many jerseys.
Well,
and they'd sell out instantly.
But short term, it would be good.
tickets.
But it might not be good long term.
Well, was Brady's stint in Tampa good for the Bucks?
They won a Super Bowl.
Also, it was 3 years ago. That's a long time for a guy now in his mid-40s. I mean, Brady could be shot. Listen, Ken Stabler went to Houston. It was awful. I mean, they made the playoffs, but he was old and he was shot. Lots of examples, okay? Namath with the Rams, Unitas with the Chargers. I mean, Tom may be done. You might be right, Felipe.
He's one incompetent offensive line away from being done.
I don't know. He played with one all year long. Played every game. There's a big difference between understanding when to get rid of the football and not getting rid of the football. He doesn't get hit.
Right. He throws the ball 7 million times. I don't know.
But the reason he was in Miami, Felipe, I want to make you feel better, is not because he's definitely going to be the starting quarterback for the Dolphins, although I still think it's in play because the owner wants him. I mean, and if it's your toy, don't you get to, paint it whatever color you want to paint it.
And they like their toys. Look at Artie Moreno. Had the thing for sale. The Angels owner, he was all set. I'm done with my toy. Right. No, I want my toy back.
Yeah.
Nobody else can play with my toy. It's my toy.
Right. Wait a minute. You're going to get $2.5 billion. I want the toy. But he was there because the kids moved there.
Well, wait a minute. That's what I said. You told me I was wrong.
Well, Mark, you are wrong. He's there because he's going to be the next quarterback of the Dolphins. Okay. I mean, that's why he was there. It has nothing to do with his damn kids
or his family. What does
or
he
the
care
fact
about?
that he bought a house basically across the canal from them to be close. There's nothing to do with nothing.
Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett. We'll see what he has to do with. He's next, coming up right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria at 41 and Wiggins Pass. Award-winning pizza with a cool rock and roll theme. Don't miss North Naples' newest sensation, Zeffy's Tavern and Pizzeria. When it's time to leave, book with the award-winning service for Naples Daily News Best of 2021. 250-mile radius, live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Serving a 250-mile radius of Southwest Florida over 15 airports. Salt Life Transportation, the official transportation of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show. Book now, 239-308-8686, or online at saltlifetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Seth,
I'm learning all these songs
Seth,
that
hold
are
on
really long.
5 seconds. Yinzer Payton wasn't shot when he went to Denver. Remember, his final year he was shot, but his first 3, I mean, his first 2 years, he reset the record book, 2012 and 2013. And Hops, remember, Favre's 3rd year post Green Bay was when he was old and shot. Favre played really well with the Jets until he hurt his shoulder. They were 8-3 and the 1 seed when he got hurt. And then he had arguably the best year of his career in Minnesota. So, both of them still had life in them. How are you?
I'm good.
Did you go to the game last night?
No, my kid has a midterm, so stupid studying got in the way.
So does that mean that she didn't even watch?
No, she watched. She studied in intermissions. No, she studied all day. She's okay. We weren't going to a hockey game. Plus, I had Cuse, North Carolina last night.
So which did you watch?
Oh, Devils, Knights, hands down.
Well, then you could switch over, and it was halftime. So
correct.
Right. What did you think of that call at the end?
I mean, it wasn't flagrant.
No.
He was trying to drive the ball. I mean,
I didn't think it was a foul, to be honest with you.
No, I didn't think so either. And then after that, the whole thing unraveled. So, whatever. Told you, the regular season in college basketball means zilch.
No, that's not true. You got to win enough games to get in the tournament. Syracuse could have used that in a big way.
True. True. I think I'm coming to Florida and I'm going to be in Fort Myers for like an hour.
All right.
Coming to Florida to Fort Myers.
So my wife and one kid are going to Ocala for a weekend.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Horse
And
country.
That's what they're going for. And my 14-year-old and I, we were going to originally. I'm not going to give you all the details, but the bottom line is the Saturday of the weekend that they're in Ocala, the Devils are playing the Panthers.
There you go.
And then on Sunday, the Devils play the Lightning.
Yeah, that's right. You said you're all going to meet up there.
So what we're going to do now, we've expanded it. We're going to go to Fort Lauderdale, go straight to the arena, meet my mother-in-law, go to the Devils Panthers game, spend the night at her apartment, and then drive, from Boca to Tampa, and I'll drive through Fort Myers and meet up with you guys.
You should
meet
do
up with
that.
me. He doesn't live here anymore.
That's true.
You should.
That's true.
Well,
listen,
you
these
should take-
plans are just being conceptualized now.
All right.
The Devils win, Seth, was the play of the day.
Wow. In my world, it's the play of every day.
See, Boeheim didn't like that last question last night.
No, he did not, and it was from a student.
Pulled a Jimbo Fisher. We're done.
He did that to me when I was a freshman.
Hold on. Hold that thought.
By the way, I already had one person say that they just called the hotline and said that if Brady came to Miami, it'd be a disaster.
By the way,
Why do you have a big penis on your shirt?
what do I have a big what?
Penis on your shirt.
No. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air.
Okay.
Wow.
That's
Sorry about that.
The greatest American hero.
great. There you go. Great. I remember the song more than the show.
Now he got superpowers and he lost the instruction book.
10 seconds.
That could happen.
I think if you have superpowers, you at least know where the book is.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
We bring them on to talk hockey. We have no idea what we're going to talk about. We bring Seth Everett on. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream are his three terrific podcasts. And not only that, they're popular and profitable. Unbelievable. People want to know why we have Seth Everett on. Trust me, he's doing something only 17 other people are doing nationwide. You can follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Seth_Everett. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Well, we're terrific, actually. We
That's
really
wonderful.
are. Yeah, it's
Everybody's good.
Final Wednesday
nice.
of January. The month's flying by. Things are good. What'd you think about that Hall of Fame vote yesterday?
Oh, Scott Rowland?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's becoming the Hall of Very Good.
Or the
Scott
Hall-
Rowland was a good player, but I never thought Hall of Famer. I very rarely was he even the best player on his team. It's fine. The voting process is a sham. If you want to go down that rabbit hole,
Well, I mean, just how analytics have changed it. His war, Seth.
it's not even the analytics. It's the fact that about 15 to 20% of the people who vote don't even cover baseball anymore. You grandfather in. Once you get that vote, you keep it. And I had football writers talking about why they voted for A-Rod or not. It's stupid. The whole thing is just dumb. I love the museum. I love the people who run the museum. The people who used to run the museum. I've had great experiences there, but that voting process is a sham.
Don't disagree with a word you've said.
Can it be fixed, Seth? And how?
Sure. Yeah. Electronic media. If you want to have a media vote, let electronic media. And that's not to be self-serving because I don't cover the sport anymore. But there are people who have covered it for 20, 30, 40 years who should have a Hall of Fame vote. And I think what you'd get is a more you'd get a vote that is more indicative of the people who actually watch the sport instead of people who used to watch the sport 30, 40 years ago. I mean, there are legitimate Hall of Fame voters who have not only don't cover baseball, but haven't covered baseball in the 21st century. And they still have Hall of Fame votes.
Why aren't they being exposed more? Why isn't it a problem?
I don't know. I mean, I can't. This has been something I've been talking about for 2 decades. I mean, the Hall of Fame voting process is fraudulent. And, back then, back in the day, the way it all came about, there were people in broadcasting, and I was thinking of people like that this applied to. Carl Ravitch doesn't have a Hall of Fame vote. Carl Ravitch for years, I mean, for decades, was paid every night to do nothing but watch baseball. Susan Waldman doesn't have a Hall of Fame vote.
Right. Vince Scully never had a Hall of Fame vote.
Never had a Hall of Fame vote.
I mean, that's absurd.
It's dumb. And so, when you created this thing, the radio was a brand new medium and they didn't consider it. And it's just an archaic voting process. And it's run by a union that I like, the Baseball Writers Association of America. Some of my dearest friends are in that group, and they don't want to change it. And nobody's going to make them.
Because they don't want to give up their power.
That's right. And so this idea that the voting process, I mean, how many pitches is Billy Wagner going to throw between now and his next vote? All right, it's so stupid.
Well, Seth, we pointed out Scott Rowland first appeared on the ballot. It was 6 votes ago, but it was only 5 years. 2018 was the first time he appeared on the ballot. He got 10% of the vote. 5 years later, he gets 76%, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
That's amazing.
David Sampson on our show yesterday said one of the biggest pet peeves he has in the world is how somebody can get and lose votes from year to year.
Well, what Peter Gammons has a great answer to that, because I asked him that one time, not on my podcast, but on a radio show I was doing, and he said that as time evolves, you should be allowed to change your mind, either positive or negative, as you do more research or as you are introduced to more information. What my argument is, there's an eye test, and when the guy was playing, did he look like a Hall of Famer? And he never did. Never once. And
Correct.
He's getting inducted with Fred McGriff?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, fine. I know this. Since Griffey was inducted, I said then, I'm never going back to Cooperstown for a Hall of Fame induction weekend. There's nobody that I remotely give a crap enough to go up there.
All right, very quickly, stop me for the guy that you would vote for the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Scott Rowland, Todd Helton, Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones, Gary Sheffield, Carlos Beltran, Jeff Kent, A-Rod Manny.
No.
Okay. So your ballot this year would have been blank. And that's fine, by the way. It's your right.
Gary Sheffield, I waver on.
Why?
Well, because I had heard all kinds of stuff about him, but it was never really called out.
He admitted to using the cream.
But the thing about Gary Sheffield, that's I call that personally. I call that my Mike Piazza rule. There are a handful of Hall of Famers that I heard the same rumors about. So again, you have to have an idea. Is it either all of them or none of them? If Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are not in, there's no way Alex Rodriguez is in.
Fair enough. Just, was going through those.
And I'm not saying no on Bonds and Clemens.
Would you rather they all be in or all be out, Seth? I think that's, to me, the question, because they'd all be in my world. I've never had a problem with steroids. The money that we spend to watch and go to games, I want the best players on. And if this gets players back on more quickly, then I'm all for it.
Well, I always thought that McGuire doesn't get enough credit for bringing the sport back from essentially I don't want to say ruined, but after that baseball strike in '94, a lot of people say Cal Ripken was the first thing that baseball fans really dug. Cal Ripken breaking Lou Gehrig's record. And what I had always said was that brought baseball fans back, but McGuire and Sosa to that extent brought the American public back. I mean, that was one of the craziest things. I remember I was covering the Seattle Mariners back then. I couldn't tell you who we were playing, and I knew where McGuire and Sosa were every single day. And I just don't think that gets enough credit.
Fair enough. Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream are his 3 terrific podcasts. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett.
Well, Seth, obviously we know where you are on the Hall of Fame, but when it comes in terms of, and I still want to dig down with the writers, because I'm fascinated by why, if anything could, like, you don't think it, why would it change if they have the power, but could the sport make it change? Could baseball do anything to make it change?
Well, that's a big misconception. The Hall of Fame is an independent entity. It's a museum.
Yeah, but Seth, come on now. The Hall of Fame changes their rules when Major League Baseball picks up the phone and leans on them hard. They changed the rules to ban Rose and anybody on the suspended list because Bud Selig picked up the phone and said, change the rules.
Right, but at the time, the suspended list, Shoeless Joe Jackson couldn't get in the Hall of Fame.
Correct.
So nothing changed. It was Pete Rose was on the banned list, so he was not eligible. That was it.
But no. But when
the rule is from the Hall of Fame is that the Hall of Fame says if you are on a banned list, you're ineligible.
But when Rose was put on the banned list, that was not the rule. When Rose got to within a year of being voted on, Major League Baseball realized, holy blank, Pete Rose is going to come up in a year to be voted on. They picked up the phone. They called Cooperstown. They said, change the rule. If you're on the banned list, you're ineligible to be voted on. And that's when they changed the rule.
That's before my time. I was doing a lot of drugs in college. I don't remember. I just remember it being that if you were on the banned list, you couldn't get on. So Pete Rose always used to apply for reinstatement, knowing that he was never going to say, okay, I want to become the third base coach of the Padres.
But if you were to go back and look it up, when Rose signed away his life, and by the way, he signed it away for a year and then it would be reviewed. But even if he thought, listen, you're probably going to be on this list for life, at the time he signed it away, he was eligible to be voted on for the Hall of Fame. And they changed the rule a year and a half later, right before he was going to come
Bart Giamatti died. Right. And then Faye Vincent didn't want to sully Giamatti's ruling. And
and they blamed Rose for his death, which, whatever. But so.
And now his son is in those Verizon commercials.
Did not know that.
Playing Albert Einstein.
Well done. Well done. Hey, speaking of doing drugs in college, you did those drugs at Syracuse.
Yeah.
Right? How about Jim Boeheim last night, just walking out off the podium? Didn't like the question that the guy from the student station or newspaper asked him.
Yeah, it was a student. Yeah, that brought back some memories.
Did you ever do that?
My freshman year, sure. He came on and did a symposium, and the day before, the dean had given us this whole thing about name recognition and just trying to get your name out there. And in 1992, Syracuse was ineligible for the NCAA tournament because of violations. And Boeheim came out in this presentation, and he said how they cleaned the program up, 1,000%. And then he proceeded to lambaste the 2 reporters that uncovered the violations. And so that's not what media, think about what the damage was done to all the local businesses and things like that. And so I raised my hand and I said, well, didn't you just say you cleaned the program up 1,000%? Isn't that what the point of the article was? And he just lambasted me. He just was like, you're not in your league and all this stuff. And the dean was right next to me and he was like, right on, go for it. And then when I worked for the station, that covered the games, WAER, we never got him on the show. We never, ever did a pregame with him. And we just knew him as a mean guy. So then watching him over the years and watching him lambaste a student, I was like, yep, that's a rite of passage.
And that's still your guy, though, right? Even though he yelled at you and yelled at the reporter last night, that's still your guy?
He's my guy?
Well, you're a Syracuse guy, so it's all
I'm a Syracuse guy. I would have liked him to have retired like 7 years ago, but yeah, he's my guy. That's my team.
I love how you cleaned that up, okay, a couple of moments ago, in which you started to say whatever it was you were going to say, and then you paused, your voice got very soft, and you just simply said, and he's a mean guy.
He's a mean guy.
Right. Now, whatever was going on, the gerbil was working that wheel hard.
Those were memories, yeah.
All right. You cleaned that up very nicely.
What coach yelled at you the most? I mean, I'm sure that wasn't your only encounter. We've all had encounters with coaches.
Oh, well, the two managers I was scared to death of. There were three, but one of them didn't yell at me. Tony La Russa, I was scared of him. I was scared of Jim Leland. Jim Leland just seemed like a bad mama jama. And Don Baylor used to scare me to death. I remember one time Eric Young Sr. Dared me to ask Don Baylor a question, and I said something like, how come you guys went to the bullpen after just 5 innings? And he folded his big arms, and he just said, what would you have done? I shriveled up. I was scared out of my mind.
I thought you would have said, call my mommy, but that probably wasn't the answer.
And I remember going to Eric Young Sr. going, never make me do that again.
Hope you got something out of that. I mean, I hope you got lunch or something out of that.
Yeah, right.
All right. Got a minute or so here. Sports with Friends Hall of Justice text stream.
Sports with Friends is a great one. The guy who created sports radio, Jeff Smulyan, former owner of the Seattle Mariners. He has a new book. Out. And we did a podcast. We talked about the creation of WFAN, but also a lot about Seattle, about his time with the Mariners, and what he was ripped for was not spending, and he didn't have money. And he said, there's nothing I could have done. He goes, I know those decisions were bad. What could we do? And so Jeff Smulyan on Sports with Friends. On Hall of Justice, it's the movie Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. And gosh darn it, it's a comic book movie. Why don't we talk about it like it is? And Text Stream is about, I don't even remember.
Must be riveting.
Wow.
No, it was good. Monitors. They keep making new monitors. What do you need new monitors for? You can see fine.
Not that he's sleep deprived, not that he's got 3 podcasts and a wife and 2 kids or anything, but some stuff.
Yeah, recording Hall of Justice in like 7 minutes. Getting ready.
All right. Seth Everett, Sports with Friends Hall of Justice text stream. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Seth, all the best.
See you guys. Go Devils.
Yep. We made him our play of the day, Seth. Dougie Hamilton with the game winner in overtime. Just for you.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. Port Charlotte, Venice, Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City. We'll do it all over again tomorrow. Where else but the home of Miller and Moulton, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf.